It depends. If you go back, and when I was really little, my dad used to take me hunting a lot, and we'd go squirrel hunting. And I always thought, to be a mountain man would have been a great career, but kind of born in the wrong century for that. So mountain man didn't work out too well. Professional fisherman would have been nice. In fact, my dad and I got a ticket for catching too many fish one time. So that was after that. That was kind of for that career to kind of end, and then. Law enforcement, I thought law enforcement might be nice.
If I hadn't gone into engineering, I probably would have started my own business, some kind of construction trade or something along those lines.
I had thought about going into, besides engineering, were being a dentist or being a lawyer.
I always liked science and math and how things worked and how they didn't work. And so I always thought about maybe a career in auto mechanics because I was always fascinated with vehicles, and in industrial arts because I always thought woodworking and metalworking and all that kind of stuff was fun and neat, and kind of how, to a certain extent, how things work and how you put things together and manufacture things like that. So I thought about those careers, and my dad was really, I think, very influential on my career choices too. He was an electrician. He was a stationary engineer. I really thought at some point I wanted to go into electrical engineering.
My first degrees in college were in psychology and math, and I couldn't decide till the very end of which to finally make my major, so I made my major psychology and my minor was in math. After I graduated and worked as a counselor for runaway teenage girls and realized I wasn't getting paid much, I decided to go into engineering, in which my brother had already been a civil engineer who graduated from Rolla.
I really always liked being outside, so I knew it was going to be something in the construction related field, and then civil engineering just kind of fit the bill. I could be outside and make a difference on projects that had to do with public works types projects. And why MoDOT? A career highlight, and I can think of a lot of projects that I was involved on and worked with over the years, whether it's the 67 corridor or the 60 corridor or some of those kind of projects, and those were important and were neat. But why did I choose MoDOT? And I think it had to do with the summer internship I did when I swung a brush hook with a survey crew in Willow Springs. And I knew then that we were making a difference for the traveling public, but I knew I could see back then in the early 80s the MoDOT family. We were all together, a tight crew that worked together. We worked hard. It was for public service, and it was with a group of, and at that time they were all guys, that cared for one another, had a good time in what they did, but made a difference for the taxpayers. And I think that really sealed the deal for me to start full-time with MoDOT when I graduated from college.
I graduated from University of Missouri-Rolla in 1977, so I'm in my 40th year in this profession. I chose engineering because I like solving problems. I like working with numbers. Engineering gives you the opportunity to look at a problem, figure out the best way to solve it, and then move forward with it from there. Over the last 40 years I've been in this profession, I've used a lot of that, and as you move into management, those kind of skills go with you because it's different type of problems, but they're still there, and you still need to use the same sort of skill set to look at things and determine the best course of action.
Math and science came very easy to me growing up. Never really had to study for those like other subjects, and I like the fact that engineers are like boots on the ground. They're out there on the highway in the field somewhere, and I'm the type of worker that likes to be outside, not really, inside at a desk all day.
Civil engineering was just really a choice that fit with all the other careers I looked at, from automobile mechanic to rewinding electric motors to electrician to industrial arts or all those other career choices. Civil engineering, if you look at, at least is what I did, if you looked at the all the things that they do in building and in planning and in fixing stuff that helps people. I said, you know, that's really what I want to do.
And I think one of the highlights of my career was working with a group of designers and planners and construction and traffic folks in Springfield, where we had an interchange and a bridge that on the interstate and Highway 13 that really was going to cost about $12 million. And that was to fix the bridge and widen it so that we could make room for dual lefts, because really the problem with the interchange was the semis would block the left turn lanes. You get about 2 of them in there. So we needed dual lefts so we could get 4 and hopefully move traffic better. And the highlight was in discussing with different people, and we had a project manager that did some research, where we came up with he introduced it, and we thought about it and said, you know what, why couldn't we make this work? And that was the first Divergent Diamond. It took a whole team. It took a whole team of us to get the people together, explain it. You know, we weren't the first to come up with the idea, because Kansas City actually had one and a presentation drawn. They just never moved forward with it. Either the timing wasn't right or whatever. So we had information from them that we were able to use. And we had some people that looked at us like we were crazy. And we had other people that looked at us and said, hey, that's really innovative, and we think that'll work. And when we got done and we finished with our public meetings and all, we had an overwhelming number of people that said, you know, that's creative, let's give it a shot. And so we built it. And we knew that if it failed, we'd never built another one in the United States. But it didn't fail, and I think a lot of that is because of that group of people, that team of project managers and engineers and traffic folks and the customer service all working together to make sure that we solve those 2 important problems, which is key in any engineering is problem solving. Is how do you convince people that we're not crazy and that it'll work, and that even though it's different, it will work. And then the other one is, how do you train them to drive it when it's done? And I think we did a great job. It turned out to be a huge success. And now I think there's about 8 of them in Springfield. So, and plus there's in several other districts. So that was a highlight, something I look back on and am really proud of being part of that.
The diversity of places I got to live and the diversity of the work I got to do. I lived in Texas, I lived in Virginia, I lived in Colorado, I lived in Hawaii and back in Missouri, and I got to see the world and do all kinds of different jobs. I got to work in design, I got to work in construction, I got to work in the construction of tunnels, which was really, really interesting. I love that. I worked on, I helped design sidewalks and trails in Virginia. And then coming with MoDOT, I've been here 22 years, and I've done the same thing. I've worked in design, I've worked in construction, I've worked in many different positions, and now I work with cities and counties to help them get federal funds. And it kind of coincides with my psychology degree, because I work with so many different people, and especially cities and counties, they change people all the time. So I'm always working with different people a lot, and just getting to know people to where they trust MoDOT and they trust us, to guide them and helping them get these funds.